Join us, Alix
and Colleen,
self-proclaimed fake it till you make it experts, as we navigate the highs and lows of being a woman and how the pressure and overwhelm of trying to do it all often leads to feeling like an imposter in our own lives. Welcome back. Today we conclude our conversation with the magnetic Jen Warrington. In the second part of our dynamic chat, we uncover more of Jen's journey to success and touch on a few other topics that a lot of us are facing while we navigate middle age.
Hi, Alix.
Hi, Colleen.
Well, we are back. We are back for episode, should we call this episode 2 or extended episode 1?
Well, it is episode 2, but it's part 2
of
episode 1.
Of episode 1. Yes, we had such a phenomenal conversation with Jen Warrington last week that we just talked for quite a long time. So we've turned it into a 2-parter. If you haven't listened to part 1, head back and take a look, have a listen. Jen has just such amazing information to share, and we look forward to the next part.
So,
Jen Warrington.
hope you enjoy it.
I just wanted to tell the stories, and I just wanted people to know, like, everything's going to be okay. Because if I can figure it out, you can figure it out.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. And it really, like, again, if you think you start a business in the middle of a pandemic, the actual, like, both like hiring, well, nobody was hiring, right? And then there was just all of these things that could have really stacked against me. And I remember when I found out I lost my job, I was shocked. Like, I was like completely blindsided. And I called my husband and I was like, I think I just lost my job. And he's like, what do you mean you think? Like, you did or you didn't? And I'm like, no, I did. But like, I didn't see it coming, like, at all. Like, recruitment was always busy at Manulife. So like, why would we needed more recruiters, not less. So he's like, I'm coming home. And I'm like, no, I'll be fine. Anyway, he came from work, and from the time we spoke until the time he got home was less than an hour. And I'm like, I have a plan. He's like, oh, great. Here she goes. And I was like, no. And I said, I'm not working for somebody else again. And this was, again, COVID was like, careful if you travel, but it wasn't really the thing that it became a month later.
Mm-hmm.
So there was never that was going to be a factor into it. It was more of, that was just a noise in the background. And about a month, because I had to work for 6 more weeks before my severance kicked in, like, we had to finish it out. And my old boss, who gave me my start in recruitment, when I had been talking to him, and he was like, when's your severance end? And I was like, September. And he's like, you can manage a branch for me. No questions asked. You just tell me. And so my husband was like, well, that's good. Like, that's stable. That's a good job. And I was like, I was at Manulife for 10 years. There's no stable. Like, that's not a thing. Right. So I had to have the conversation of, I really want to do this. And I get that it's scary for you, but if I don't do it now, I'm going to resent you. And I need to, like, and then it was like, well, what's plan B? And I'm like, there isn't one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going all in and we're doing it. And I remember having dinner with him and saying, like, I know that, like, your risk tolerance for this is very, very low, but I was like, I'm not asking you to refinance the house and take out equity we literally bootstrapped from day one. And so I just went into it with, I think, this oblivious notion of everything's going to be okay. And because I didn't believe anything else, it's really been more than okay.
Yeah, I had like a very similar discussion and kind of series of events with my husband too, when my job ended, and I was like, I can't work for someone else again.
No.
I just can't do it anymore. And he is very also not very risk averse at all, but we kind of just made a plan and restructured our cash flow and just made it work. But it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's why I said, I can appreciate that's scary for you. But if I don't do this now, 1, I'll never do it. And 2, I'm going to be like, fuck you every time I think, oh, I could have done this. And so again, looking back on it, we had no idea what the last 3 years would have been. Like, it could have gone either way. But there was never a moment where I was like, this is not going to be okay.
Well, I think when you kind of come at it that way, you cannot fail. Like, you cannot fail because there was nothing else. So that's how I felt about it. Like, I have to make it back up. Like, I have to get there.
Yeah. And the mindset is really important. And when I found out I was losing my job the day after Family Day. So it was like the Tuesday after Family Day. And on the Sunday night, I was online and I was scrolling, and I was following a girl on Instagram out of the United States, and she was like the money mentality coach. Like, she was known for helping people get through their limiting beliefs when it came to money and what have you. And I wanted to buy the course she had because again, like everybody's paycheck to paycheck. And I was like really struggling with that. And I found I struggled with it more after my mom passed away. Not because my mom was like the gravy train of money, but I always knew if I needed my mom's help, my mom was going to do it. No questions asked. She would have done it. And so I had really struggled with that one part of it. I mean, I struggled with all of it, but that was one part. And I was looking through, and the course was like $4,000 US. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was reading the stuff, and it was saying, you know, when people make these decisions, things start to clear space for them. Won't make necessarily sense, whatever. And I looked, and I could payment plan, and I put it in the cart because it was closing at midnight, fell asleep somewhere along the way. And when I woke up on the Monday, my husband was gone to work, and I was like, if I open the cart and it goes through, I'm meant to have it. And if it doesn't go through, I'm not. And it went through, and then I was like, shit, how am I paying for this? Right? Because it works out to something like $500 US a month, like when it converts or changes over to Canadian. And then the next day I lost my job. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I need this now. But I have never made more money than what I have in the last 3 years. I've never had to question, do I put gas in my car? Or do I buy groceries? Right? Like, we all have those things.
Sure.
But I just was like, I'm gonna do her course, and I'm gonna follow it all the way through, and I'm not gonna believe anything else. And then just kept building.
That's
Just kept
amazing.
building. Yeah. She talks a lot about the imposter syndrome stuff in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I love what you've built. I
Thank
think
you.
it's wonderful. I also don't think you have a whole lot of imposter syndrome. I think you're kind of kick-ass out there, you know, doing the thing.
But I love that you're helping women
Exactly.
work through it by, you know, let's take a step back. Let's look at the skills and experience that you do have, and let's bolster that rather than what can we add to it. What do
Yeah.
you need to add to
Yeah.
it in order to make yourself employable.
So
I love that.
let's talk about the women that do come in to
Yeah.
see you, because I would think there's imposter syndrome there, you know, with a lot of them.
There is, and it's the voices in their head now, whether it's their own voice or it's the voice of what they consume on social media, or, you know, who they have in their life, or whatever that is. But a lot of it for me is really going, I'm going to, like, how can I inspire confidence? So yes, I can do your resume. I can help you find a job. I can prepare you for an interview, and I do all of those things. And I've been doing it so long that yes, I know that I'm good at that part. But really what I'm doing in those moments is mindset and confidence, so that when they leave me, they feel like I'm still here cheering them on their shoulder, that they will take that forward. And they have, like, the aha moments are crazy, right? And I had a lady who, on Thursday mornings, I have a free 1-hour call that anyone can come to, and they can ask questions about their resume. They can ask me about LinkedIn. They can just be like, I'm facing a challenge right now and I don't know what to do. And it's a very safe space. We have about 20 people a week that come. And this lady came in December, and she said she saw it on LinkedIn, and she attended, and she attended faithfully for the 8 weeks, not including the break over the holidays. And she literally just asked questions, and she observed, and all of the things. And she came 1 week, she missed, and then she came back and she said, I'm sorry. They all apologize. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. I'm like, I'm here for you, but okay. And she ended up telling the story about, she was a single mom. She was on unemployment and food stamps. She was about 2 weeks from it running out, and she didn't know how she was going to do anything. She was going to the library to use the internet to apply for jobs, like just exactly what you would
All the
imagine that
things.
story to be.
Yeah.
And she said, I found your calls and I started coming. And she said, I asked a question where I don't remember what the question was, but she said, I asked a question that every other person I'd asked it to had told me no. And you said yes. I probably said fuck yes, but I had said yes. And you can do this. And this is what I would do. And I kind of walked her through some LinkedIn things. And she ended up that this company that she had been trying to get into to work with to do diversity inclusion research, that she couldn't get her foot in the door. The executive director saw her LinkedIn based on some of the changes she had made. They ended up on a phone call. Half an hour later, she offered her a contract position. So she was literally like 2 weeks away from not knowing even where she was going to sleep with her kids, to getting a position that was very, very healthy salary. And then not even 6 weeks later, took on a senior management permanent position with them. And she said, she wrote a letter. I was like in tears about it, but it was, she said, you saw something in me that I for so long didn't see in myself because of other voices and other people. So it is important, obviously, to have all the right pieces in play when you're applying for a position or you want to make a change. But for me, it's the confidence and the mindset of like, and you can figure anything out if you have someone in your corner,
Mhm.
and not everybody does.
How aware are you that you're changing lives?
Well, I mean, I think in her particular situation, I was, because I said to her, would you come on the call next week and would you like share your experience? And she actually wrote a letter, and she read like this 2-page letter, and everybody on the call was crying. So in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, it's a little bit bigger than a resume and a cover letter. And I gave you some LinkedIn tips.
Yeah.
So if that's what the legacy is, I'm very humbled and honored by that, because I know that not everybody has a safe place or a resource or an outlet or even just belief in themselves. And, would I have been doing this when I was in my 20s? Probably not. But again, life experience has brought me to this point, and that's what I want to do. I literally just want everyone to
God,
love it.
Can I hop on a call with you,
Yes,
like
yeah.
Monday morning
I
pep talk?
feel like I need to too. I'm like,
I don't want
to
to do my business this week, Jen.
That's okay.
Can we have coffee? Can we sit down? I need to talk with you.
I get this from my mom. My mom was I don't want to say a similar story, but my mom was a stay-at-home mom until my parents split up when I was almost 9, and then she had to go to work. Before that, she was able to stay home, and she had and so she didn't have university education. She only had high school, and my mom was very, I don't know. I feel a lot like I'm more like her now than what I was before. And people will say, oh, you're so like your mom. So my mom ended up that she went to Weight Watchers to lose weight. Like everyone goes to Weight Watchers at some point in time. And then she lost her weight. She started weighing people. She started then like, you should be a leader at Weight Watchers because you have like, you're a great speaker and what have you. Got to the point that she ended up 31 years with them, was a national director, was on breakfast television all the time, like with Cyril and the big crew, right? Helping them all out. And yeah, and she was there, and she just loved what she did. That when she passed away, she obviously knew a lot of people, and we had people lined up outside because they were like, she was more than my Weight Watcher leader. She helped me leave a bad relationship because she was so motivating and so inspiring. And so I do feel that I have that part now, that I'm like, okay, I really want to like walk in her shoes that way. Whereas I would never have seen that prior to this. I don't think.
What an amazing legacy.
I think.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I'm gonna try.
Love it.
To
Like,
make
gives me chills.
Yeah, me too. Like to be making a difference in people's lives is huge. I think that's what we all kind of want to. I certainly do. I want to be that person that people are lining up at your funeral. That people are,
Right. Well, line up before and tell me.
I feel the same way. Tell me before I'm
Tell
gone.
me before I'm
Yes.
gone. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I think we all play too small, right? We all are, oh, your goals are too big, right? Because for like, that's the other opposite side of it. You're like, well, you maybe set the expectation that what if you don't reach it?
Yeah.
Like, or you're, and I had a couple of people say, oh, you're too ambitious. And I was like, I don't even know if that's like possible. Like, is that, but again, it's other people's limiting beliefs that then get pushed onto you. And I don't know how, like, there's no magic. I was like, I'm not listening to any of that shit. I don't want to, because if I had listened, I wouldn't have a team of 3 kick-ass human beings that like, my team's amazing. And so I've been following my gut for a really long time, and probably since my mom passed away, because that was life really isn't fair, because she was healthy one day and gone the next. And so when you have that and you think that person's always going to be there, and her mother is my grandmother that I said just passed away. So she was 103. So we all thought my mom was going to live forever. Right. So I think that was very eye-opening, and just everybody get out of my way, because I have to do something that, is going to make an impact. And I'm not going to play small because it makes you uncomfortable. I don't disrespect you, but like,
I think that too. When I started my business, I kind of had all these things like, oh, maybe you should be doing it this way, or you don't know how to do it, so maybe you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, you know what? No one knows how to do it,
right?
Like, or how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to do it the way that I think I should do it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I mean, I don't know how else to do it. So this is the way I'm going to do it.
It's such a great learning. Like, you're learning obviously information, but you're also learning about you. And then there's a self-awareness that that's the thing for me that I love the most, is that like I know I'm self-aware. So like if you said something to me that was maybe like a criticism or something negative about me, I probably already know that. So I'm not gonna ball up and cry about it. I'm gonna know, like, yeah, you're right. I know that about myself, right? But I think too, again, I didn't go to school, so learning obviously wasn't my jam. But now I'm like, anything I can read or anything I can listen to, or I want to be better. And when I've had meetings with Dave that we know collectively, like I learned so much from him. And then I'm like, I'm excited about that. So it's the exact opposite of where I was, but you're a kid. You're not
Mm.
supposed to know that.
And you did say you love listening to podcasts.
Yep.
You love reading
I
about
do.
self-improvement and business, professional
Yes.
development type books and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's all textbook. That's all,
Which
you know
is
what I mean?
crazy,
This is-
right?
You are
But
learning.
but if you sat down and said you need to read a history book, like I'm not your girl.
No.
But you know, my husband will say, Amazon's here again. Did you order more books? And I was like, I did. So I'm not like jewelry and shoes, and I'm like, I really am craving the knowledge.
Do you have some favorite authors that inspire you, that give you that boost?
Well, the course that I did, when I said about the money mindset, that girl wrote a book. It's called Rich as Fuck. It's amazing. It's the best $20 anyone could ever spend on Amazon, no matter where they are in their life. It's just amazing. Her name's Amanda Francis. That
Adding to
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
add to list.
I have literally bought and gifted probably more than 30 copies of it. And I also highlighted my own so many times I've had to replace it. So that would be my main go-to one, from because it's not just mindset around money. It really just it transfers into so many other things. So that is my go-to for sure. I've read it a number of times. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell is a new one, and he's actually from New Brunswick. So and really smart, and that's more for business, but it's also like, where do you buy back your time in your personal life? So how can you, hockey mom, volleyball mom, rugby mom, whatever, how do you maybe, is it that you outsource your cleaning, right? Or is it that you have someone do meal prep or whatever? It's obviously very business driven around, as the CEO, you can't create the revenue if you're doing the $10 tasks, right?
You can't do it all.
And
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
a hard thing that was something I couldn't give up, right? Like
Mm.
that's where the soloist part probably would have came in. Like, how do I give this to my team? Because I just figured it out as I went. Now I have to teach them how to do it. And so that I kind of struggled with it.
As a soloist, it is very difficult to delegate.
It is,
Right?
It
Yeah,
is. But
yeah.
Yeah,
again,
it's a struggle. I'm struggling with that right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
my team is like, again, they've stepped up. They're amazing. And I'm very, very lucky that I have them. But Buy Back Your Time I had Lindsay on my team and originally, and then Donna joined my team, and I was really pushing out to not have an admin person, because I felt like that's obnoxious. Why do I need an admin person? Like, I can do all of these things. And then I read the book and I was like, oh, I get it now. And so then Kate joined us in June, and like, they're all just epic in their own way, and they fit so well, which doesn't always happen with 4 women, right?
Yes, for
right.
sure. Yeah.
And then Mel Robbins has been great.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And so more of her podcasts and her social media
Yeah.
than the actual book. And
Every time a
Yeah.
social media post of hers comes
Yeah.
up, I'm like, yes,
yeah,
gotta share that. Gotta keep
absolutely.
That. Yeah.
And Gary Vaynerchuk,
Mm.
I love. And then the one, I actually watched a TED Talk this morning while I was waiting for my son when I was picking him up, and it was Grit by Angela Ducksworth.
I
Mm.
listened to that.
So I
Yes.
have the book. I haven't read it, but I'm going to. And then the other one was Atomic Habits,
Right.
which
Oh,
I think,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
that's really, and it's just habit stacking, right? Like, if you're, keep it simple. If you're not someone who's good with working out, like, and that's default because I'm not, like, don't commit to an hour 5 days a week. Start with like a 15-minute walk, and then make it 20, and then add the second day, and like things like that. Like, it's really about habit stacking and how you rewire your brain to do that. And as a business owner, you have all the freedom in the world, but you also don't have any, because there's a million different things to do. So it's figuring out, how do I like create the right habits so that I'm not at my desk every night till midnight. Once in a while, but I mean, what the hours I was working at the beginning to what I'm now is drastically different.
Same.
I'm
Yeah.
changing my mind.
On what?
I think you do need to start everything with did not complete high school. I
Okay.
think you're
I'm gonna tattoo it.
I
Or what's your daughter
know,
doing
I
after
think you
this?
need to tattoo that. I think it's brilliant. I think you need hanging in your office a made up diploma, did not complete high school. I think this is fabulous.
I appreciate it. We
Yeah.
were, I don't know when it was recently. We had people at our house, and a friend of my husband's, again, like lawyer, so obviously the law degrees and and we were talking about something, and I said something about not completing high school, and like I'm pretty sure he almost fell off the chair, and he was like, I'm so shocked by that, and I was like, why? And he was like you're so smart, and I'm like, yeah, I am, but
I didn't
But
say I
I-
wasn't smart. I said I didn't complete high
Right,
school.
mutually
Yeah.
but they're not, right?
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not saying drop out of school and
No.
don't like, I'm not
We're
saying
not
that.
advocating that.
I'm
I don't think we
totally,
have a whole lot of high school
But-
students listening to us.
but
Finish not
But
completing high
parents-
school.
True.
How many years ago? 25 years ago is a lot different.
it's almost 30. 93 was when I should have graduated.
Mm.
And it was very different. Now, I will say, I do believe that my saving grace or my superpower skill set at that time was from grade 7 until grade 11 when I finished. I had been in French immersion.
Mm.
So I could speak French, and so you were scooped very quickly if you had a bilingual skill set. So they didn't care if you
sure.
didn't have your education, in that kind of traditional sense of the word. So I do believe that benefited me. But I also think when you, even if you only believe it to yourself and you won't put it out to the world that you're unapologetically who you are, I think you're going to be okay. It's just, how do you quiet the noise of either what your parents have said, or your high school boyfriend, or your best friend, or your current spouse, or whatever that looks like. Just if you can get somewhere quiet to quiet the noise. It is,
It's hard not to listen to that
But, like,
negativity when
and-
you're,
and that's another thing
especially
that,
if you're going through a mental health thing, or if you've
Right.
got some, right? It's hard not to let those things play over and over in your head.
and so, and using that as an example with the lady who, like, again, was a week from, not having a place to live. She had left an abusive marriage. So however many years she was married, and then who knows before, like, that was probably always something that was, you'll never amount to anything. You're not. So I know that from a mental health perspective, and then just even the level of how do you step out from underneath the shadow of that? I think what I have learned is everybody's got shit and everybody has trauma. Probably what's wrong with the 90% of the world is that our generation has so much trauma from our parents that has never been resolved or talked about. And now we're pushing it on to an age where kids have so much information that they're like, you're actually not right.
Yeah.
And they're not being disrespectful. They're actually just like, they've got more information at their fingertips to say that doesn't even make sense. So how do you quiet the noise? I write a lot, and I've been very lucky. I have friends that are very supportive. My family didn't have a choice, because I was like, I'm doing this come hell or high water. So get on or get off was how I approached it, unfortunately for them. But now, I mean, I've validated kind of like, I know what I'm doing, and I know not everybody has that. So if nothing else, my hope is that the Thursday calls that I have that are open to anyone that want to come and talk about things career, and like, that's your mindset too, will come and at least feel like there is someone that will listen, or there is someone that believes in me until I can believe in myself.
Is that your greatest advice, do you think, for people, is to quiet the noise and do your thing? Or do you have, what's your, what advice would you have for people just trying to push through and
I mean,
do the next thing?
I do think you have to quiet the noise to some degree, because there is so much of it. And to your point, social media can be the most positive place you are. It can be the most negative. And,
Yeah.
and I had this conversation with my husband the other day, and saying, our social media feeds are very, very different, right? I don't follow politics. I couldn't debate politics with you on any level, because I'm not invested in it. And I don't think that my energy can't go there
Mhm.
for various reasons. And my social media is not full of just negative stuff, because the stuff I choose to follow. So if you looked at 5 people's feeds, they're all going to be very different. But I'm very committed to, if there's 50 people in a room and 49 of them are happy, and then that one person comes in that's negative, why does the whole energy shift to the negative? Why aren't we pulling that person in? And I don't truly ever understand that. Like, why does the negative take over? And so for me, I'm like, how do I create a safe space? And how can you just sit somewhere quietly to go like your gut instinct is there for a reason. And there are so many external factors you can't really get away from. But in the quiet of your own mind, eventually, I think that, again, you have to just consume the right things, and you have to like make the choice to say, you're a negative, I can't. And I do like, there's places I won't go because I'm like, I'm not dealing with that shit. I don't have time for that. Right. And I want my kids to be selective of that. And I want them to see that we don't go places or associate with people that are negative or hypocritical or whatever, because I want them to know that if that doesn't feel right, you need to know that you can remove yourself from that. And so I think my best advice is, if you don't have someone that can champion you, because we all need someone external to like be in our corner. And if you don't have that, where do you find it? And if you can't, like, then everyone has a phone for the most part. Just find the positive, block the negative, right? Like people will send me stuff. And I've even said to my husband, like, you've sent me a couple of things and I know that they're jokes or they're like just their news or their whatever, but I can tell right away what it is and I won't open it because the algorithm will then put it into my feed and I don't want it. So I don't open it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see it. And I'm like, nope. And I'll just like wait for the next thing. Because when you click on it and then you like scroll through that, or if you watch the whole thing or you scroll up and it's similar, then the algorithm is telling you that you are interested in this content. I don't want it.
And you get fed more.
So I've got like Mel and Gary and Brene Brown, and I've got like the positive affirmations. I've got all that.
Love Brene Brown.
Yeah. So just, and again, I know not everybody has that. And I know it's not also easy to get out of your own head. And I'm telling you to go in and listen to it, but there's somewhere already in you. You have everything you need. You really, truly do. It's just that you need to believe in yourself. And until you can, you have to be okay that other people will probably believe in you. And that's my Thursday call then, if not.
Alix,
No.
you're my buddy. Like,
Same.
honest to goodness, like when you say you need to find somebody to champion you, like it is, like that's who we are to each other. Like that's
It's so important, right?
Oh,
And
man,
like
yeah.
and again, like my mom would 100% have been the champion of my sister and I, like, and again, after her and my dad split up and through no fault of his own, but like, we're not living with him. So like he gets removed to the side because the day to day is that home. Right. But I have, a handful of friends, some that I've been friends with since I was 15, some that I've met in the last couple of years. And I think I've just gotten really good at, if this doesn't feel right, there's a reason why it doesn't feel right.
It's hard to walk away sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
When you've got a history there and you're
I
like,
know.
something's nagging at you, it's not feeling right. It's hard to walk away,
Yep.
especially if you're hoping that it will change and maybe it's a temporary thing.
Yep.
But it's difficult.
And 2003, Jen would not be having the same mindset in conversation, right? Because I was in a situation, it was more of a relationship situation than a job, but it was very much like, how do I get out of this? This isn't healthy. This is toxic. This is all the things. And it wasn't until I had someone who was not a family member say, if you don't make a change, one of you will not be here in the next 5 years. And my gut tells me it will be you that will not be here. And that was it. Like, there was no, I'll help you there. It was just a statement that
That's
was
a good
made.
friend.
But it wasn't even, it was a lawyer actually. So,
Okay.
but I was
That's
like,
a good
oh,
lawyer.
okay. So again, so I think the other thing that's also important to me when I'm sharing pieces of my story, like didn't complete high, like I have not always been this way. This has been an evolution of losing a family member, having a husband that almost passed away more times than I can count in a 5-year window from health issues, having a daughter that almost passed away when she was 3 weeks old, and, right? So depending on what phase you would have met me in, you'd see the evolution. Don't ever assume it's always been this way, right? At all.
I can relate so much.
Yeah,
Because
like
boundaries too, like, and I have similarly in the last few years, just like started putting up those boundaries with relationships that I never thought would end. That needed to.
And it's, you know what, if you're in a toxic situation or a narcissistic situation or an abusive situation, man or woman, like, or family, right? Like whatever that is, it's very hard to see the way out. And going way back into the vault of, I didn't really know what the way out was. It wasn't my family that helped me out, right? Like because they didn't know, like you didn't tell them. So as I came out of that, I think it's also very important to spend time by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. When the relationship that I was in ended, I didn't date anyone. I didn't like hang out with anyone. I was not in any kind of relationship for almost 3 full years. And then I met my husband, but my boundaries and my expectations for myself significantly skyrocketed because to where I was, to who I've ended up with as my life partner, like we're not even remotely close
I
on.
feel like our lives are so oddly parallel.
That's okay.
Like everything you're saying, I'm like, yes,
But
Jen.
that was time that are you lonely? Yes. Does it suck? Absolutely. Do you feel like you need and again, I think we're again conditioned, like you've got to get married, you've got to all the things, but I spent a solid 3 years alone. That the day that I met John, I 1,000,000% knew. Now, again, not the perfect road. It's bumpy and it's been all the things
it's
because
work.
it's a relationship.
It's work.
But I knew that literal moment that I saw him, I was like, okay, that's it. And that I knew that old me could not have made that decision before because the time spent alone. So I think if you're in a relationship that you can't get out of for whatever, like it's financial, which sucks really bad if you're tied to someone financially and you don't have independence, or there's children involved, or you know that you can't get out, you can internalize some of the pieces of you so that you can either make a plan or just start to have confidence, because 90% of that is your confidence is gone. And you believe, like if I had believed what I was told, that no one would want to be with me or no one's going to support my career or I wouldn't be married to the person I'm with for the last 14 years and together for almost the last 20. Like 18, 20. So I think you have to trust yourself, and it's the hardest thing to do because we're taught to always put our trust in other people. Right? That's been what I've learned. I mean, over the years for me, for sure.
One of the ways to combat imposter syndrome is to actually listen to how awesome the people in your life think you are. If you're looking for the perfect gift for a loved one, where you can tell them all of the things that make them special, visit my Drawbridge Creative Etsy shop and purchase a Things We Love About You custom poster. With several styles to choose from, it's a fabulous gift for any milestone birthday, anniversary, retirement, or just because.
You want it to be that your name is being mentioned in rooms you haven't entered yet.
I've heard that.
So I'm very driven by that too,
Yeah.
in the sense of when I do hear, I've been following you online, I love how you built your brand, or I'm like, oh my God, like, okay, this is awesome. But I've felt in the last 3 years, like I don't belong where I am because successful business owners or whatever. I'm part of, EO, and Dave Reynolds got me onto EO, and I went in, and I remember going to the very first event, and I was driving and I was like, just turn around. Like, who are you to go to? And like, I did. And that was only a year ago. And then I got there and, I didn't know anybody, and I had to walk in, and I was like, they're all going to look at me and be like, why is she here?
It's hard to walk in that room.
And as I was like creeping, like sidestepping around the corner, I was thinking, fuck, like if this was your kids, what would you tell them? Like, go in there and own the
Hold your
space.
head.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't, again, hypocritically couldn't do that. And a girl walked around the corner and she was like, oh, I'm like, we kind of almost bumped. And, she said, are you okay? And I was like, oh, I'm just like finding my way. And she's like, oh, are you new here? I'm like, are you? And she's like, yeah. She said, this is my first event. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buddy up with you. And we did. And then now I'm like now I'm going to the event and I'll sit at the front. Like we're all going to have those moments.
You focus so much on the positive, and the people that you're following are positive. And I mean, we said this at Social Media Day when we had our presentation about imposter syndrome, and follow positive people, block the people that aren't serving you.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. However, in my case on social media, and Alix, I think for you somewhat as well, I put negative. I know some days I'm having a bad day,
Well,
and
you're
I'm
human.
talking about it.
I don't think that's the same thing though, Colleen.
Because people say, be vulnerable, be authentic. Well, guess what? That's what I'm going through. So I talk about it. But does somebody else see that as negative?
No, there's a
that's the
difference between
sharing your own negative experience and something that's happening to you that's affecting you negatively, than coming on and being just like, the world sucks, I hate everything, it's raining again.
Yes.
This is probably me, actually.
Couple of days you really needed the sun.
No,
Don't follow me.
but to your point, there's a difference between vulnerability and negativity, right? So, I mean, again, we all have it. There are days where I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to, whatever. It's not usually related to work because I'm in a good spot with it. But there are days where like not everything is sunshine and rainbows. I was evacuated from my house for 2 fucking weeks because of the fires, and people in my neighborhood are pissed because of how the fire got started and blah 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 blah. I'm not engaging in that because that will literally, that can create a lot. I had to work through, I was separated from my husband and kids. I couldn't get a hold of them for 2 hours. I didn't know if my house was on, but so I can be vulnerable and say like, I'm really struggling right now because I didn't know where my family was. I couldn't get them on the phone. I'm the person, the soloist, like I'm the rock, I'm the glue, and I didn't know where they were, right? Versus who started the fire, and I need to know, and the police aren't doing enough, and the firefighters, and then like so there's a difference between the vulnerability and like the snowball of the world sucks. You know what? We obviously live in a time right now where there are a lot of terrible things. We do not live in a third world country. We are not at risk of someone coming in here right now and kidnapping us because we're women or executing us because we're a man who didn't fight a war. Like we don't have that. So like, and the people that are sitting in Canada and trying to fight those battles through the internet, that's the negativity that nobody needs, because you're not making a difference. You're actually you're contributing to the problem.
Yes.
Not that it's rainy and holy fuck, can we have a sunny day so we can enjoy summer?
Yeah.
Vulnerability and negativity are different. They get
are
lumped
two
together,
different things.
and that's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's 100%. And I think people want to see the vulnerability part, because if you're just always coming on, everything's perfect and everything's amazing, that's really not believable either, because that's not real life.
And then,
So often I'll get on a story and, if I'm having a rotten day or whatever, and I get on a story and I will say something and then I delete it. And then I'll think, no, I want to say this. So
don't
I'll say
delete
it again and then I delete it. And I say it again and I delete it. And I often choose not to put it up. However, over and over and over again, I hear from people that when I am being vulnerable, especially in my writing and blog writing, that is the best pieces. That's the stuff that people
because that's
identify with.
Yes.
That's that's the stuff that makes people feel seen and feel normal.
And there are people that are gravitating to what you're saying, that one sentence or that one paragraph or that one blog post is what they're hanging on to come out of whatever
they're coming
and
out
they
of.
need that. So there's a saying like the world needs who you were meant to be.
Yeah.
So you need to do that. You need to be that. I mean, when my mom passed away, I'm sure there was tons of stuff that I put. Now I didn't have my business at the time, but you can still go back and find all that. And I wasn't super happy. I called people out and I talked shit and I did all the things through the grief of the hardest thing I think I've ever gone through. So from that perspective, there was authenticity in that. And people that have seen that also can now see the trajectory of like, we know what she went through in that 3-year window.
From there to here.
And so like does that give somebody hope? Not because I want to be, a martyr or anything like that. But if it gives one person the ability to have confidence in themselves, I think they can do it too. Because really, who's any different? Right? 100%.
I think that, it's those lived experiences that people want to be able to tap into.
Everybody's looking for someone to identify with.
Yeah. And I think, especially at our age, parent loss is a huge topic. And
yes.
Like my dad died, it'll be 3 years in January. And it's been fucking rough. Like
the first 3 years are the worst because
it's been a lot.
Yeah. Year 1 is a blur because you're just trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. And year 2, you're like, okay. And then year 3, it sucks all over again because it's like, oh, this is actually real.
Right.
And my mom will be 8 years on the 12th of September. And there are still days where I'm like, I pick up the phone to call her or like it takes your breath away. But I mean, like there's no way around it. And the people say it gets better. You just figure out how to deal with it better.
That's what I say. It's a shockingly long ride. Grief.
Well, because it's forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a part of it that's absolutely forever because it makes no sense. Right.
And it really does change who you are.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think anyone can be prepared for that.
Nope.
Until it happens. And I watched it happen to my parents when their parents died. I watched it and I remember seeing it, but until you actually experience it.
Yeah. There's no.
I tell you, I am not looking forward to it. I've had a few friends now that have lost parents and I know the big deal behind it. And I can't fathom.
It's altering. It's altering in everything though. It's altering in career. It's altering in priorities. It's altering in how you parent.
It changes the DNA and the blueprint of who you are. It's like having kids. There's no rule book. There's no instruction manual of how do you get over whatever that is.
I have nothing. I have really nothing to equate it to. The only thing I could potentially come close to, because it's a grief thing,
Yep.
is going through my divorce.
For sure.
I do believe that, losing my parents will be far bigger than my divorce, even though at the time, probably I thought my divorce is the biggest thing that will ever happen to me.
Yep.
But I remember driving by, it was only a couple of weeks in, and I remember driving by Starbucks this one day. And I remember wanting to go into Starbucks going, what the fuck is wrong with all of you people? They were all in there having
Life,
coffee
life
and,
keeps happening.
and laughing and joking. And I'm like, the freaking world just ended.
Yeah.
Why are you all having coffee? Like
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's so, and I remember, so many days of having those feelings
Yeah.
of pure grief.
You do get to a point, and for me, it was after the 3-year mark of just trying to like slowly find my way to like, okay, she was always very happy, so I'm going to try to be really happy. I'm going to be really pissed off that I'm in this situation, but I mean, something could happen tomorrow. And I know like the day of her birthday, my birthday, and the day that she passed away and Christmas are the hardest things for me. And I'm an absolute, like, I hate Christmas, which is not fair to my kids,
No.
but I'm like, this was her thing. So now I don't even want to do it. And I don't even really put in an effort to do it. And I don't care, which is terrible. So now I'm not a good person.
No, that's not it at all. But I think, it's very important that we're having this conversation, because, people always say you don't know what people are going through,
No.
right? So you're dealing with somebody in business, or you're dealing with a friend, and you're thinking, what the hell is wrong with them? What's going on
Yeah.
with them? It might be their mother's birthday or the
Yeah.
day they died, or you don't know what people are
Or
going
Mother's
through.
Day or Father's
A
Day.
random day where you get
Random
hit
day.
with a memory, or a song comes on the radio,
Ah.
or a story comes back to you,
Yeah.
or
Right? The Facebook memories that
Yeah.
come at people all the time.
Or when you
I've,
realize you don't have recent pictures.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
And there's lots of times where I've sat in the car in the parking lot before going into Manulife, where I like realized you cried the whole way in and didn't realize you did because of the song on the radio.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
just like, fuck, I wish she was here.
Yeah.
Right. And you're gonna always feel that way.
I think we need to be kinder.
Yeah.
I say it so often. I really believe that just as women, we need to be more supportive. We need to cheer each other on. We need
Yes.
to encourage each other. We need to be kinder. We've got, I'm 55. Let me tell you, by 55, there's a lot of freaking baggage. Stuff's happened
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
those years,
Absolutely.
and
Just be kind to everyone.
just
Like,
be kind.
right.
Yeah, I'm not very good at putting boundaries up. You're better with
I'm
boundaries.
getting better. That's
You're-
been a
yeah,
goal this year, and I've been pretty.
But I'm not good at
strict
them
it.
either. I'm only just getting there now.
yeah.
I
Right.
still have a lot of guilt around it. Like, I'm holding the boundaries, but I feel horribly
But what do
guilty
you-
about holding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just again, like whether you're a people pleaser or you
Yeah.
want to be
Yes.
included, or again, some form of validation, like you feel, but I don't know, like,
You know what I think my biggest issue is? I'll say it right here today on the podcast. I want everyone to like me.
okay, so okay.
That has
Okay.
always been a thing for me, that when somebody doesn't like me, I'm like, well, why don't they like
But
me?
there's lots of people that don't like me.
I realize now that, there's a lot of people that don't like me, but it
I don't
plays
think
on
there's a
me.
lot.
I don't think there's a lot either.
I think there's a lot of people that don't like me, but I'm also kind of okay with it.
Yeah, see,
but-
I'm not.
If so, okay, so like let's pretend that you asked me to come on the podcast and I was like, no, because I don't like you. Like I just like however
Okay,
that
yeah.
right. So then you're like, how is that gonna make you feel?
I-
Why do you need me to like
Awful.
you?
Oh, I
Why?
don't know, but I would feel awful if you said that. That would like, oh, that would break my little
Oh, and I
heart.
probably wouldn't say it that way, but I might be like, you know,
Yeah, I don't really like Alex.
I'd be like, you know,
I guess there's people that don't
And then
like
Colleen
me.
be like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
but like, why would you need me to like you?
Gee, I don't know anymore.
There,
I
see,
mean,
that was like the high school thing. I just
Yeah,
gave that right back.
yeah, certainly in high school, it certainly played more. And maybe since my divorce, I don't give a shit as much anymore because there are people
Of
around
course.
my divorce that
Because the sides
don't
get
like
taken.
me. And I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
There are a few people in business
Okay.
that I've had some issues with in business that, you know, one or two people in particular that don't like me.
Are they threatened by you?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't like that that they could say negative things about me. So I work very hard
Fair.
to be.
And I'm sure there's people that would say something negative about me, or might have had a negative, didn't think my coaching went the way that it wanted, or whatever. But, and again, I said this to my cousin when we were going through stuff with my grandmother's funeral. And my cousin is treated horribly by people in our family. And I don't even care if they're listening to this, I'm going to say it. But, I said, when someone, now again, depending on what you did, like if you murdered someone's child, or
Oh
you
my gosh,
punched,
that would be
right,
horrific.
or you
Yes.
punch somebody in the
Then
face, like
nobody
whatever.
should like you.
Of
Yes,
course.
yes.
But
yeah.
in general, someone's feelings about you have nothing to do with you. They are literally based on their own perceptions, their own trauma, and their own experiences, and how they treat you or what they may say about you. Because if someone won't say it to your face, it's completely invalid. If they can't say it to you, it's irrelevant. 100%. If you can't tell me that you think I'm fucked up for whatever reason to my face, then it doesn't even count anyway. 100%.
Love that.
It doesn't.
If they have the
count.
balls to come to your face, then okay, great. And a lot of
Let's
people
talk.
won't do
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that how other people treat someone is a reflection of them and not the actual person they're treating that way.
I mean, I say that to my son all of the time.
And it's hard
All the
when
time.
you're emotionally attached to stuff too, right? Like I get that, but it is literally like if someone is treating you poorly, it could be because they had a bad day. They heard a song about their father, that they thought they were going to be able to charge more money, or that you beat them out on a contract or whatever. It's not about you. Now, again, if someone came and said, you did this, you did this, you did this. Okay, then let's have a
talk.
conversation.
Yeah.
Your feelings are valid,
Yeah.
and let's be like mature, respectful adults. But if they're saying it behind your back, or you're making an assumption that they
Yes.
don't like you, fuck them.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Podcast out. No, I'm just kidding.
We're done.
Fuck your assumptions.
Fuck you.
But,
yeah.
yeah,
Fuck me,
Make
my
an ass out of
assumptions.
you and me
But you know
anyway.
what? And it could very well be that those people don't like this sounds rude, but like they're not even thinking about you.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
This
And
is my
I say
husband
that
tells
to
me
people.
all the time. He's like, Alex, no one's talking or thinking about you.
I'm
And
thinking about that.
And the ones that are, if they can't bring it to you,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't count.
It's not my issue. It's your issue.
What is it like on holidays? Calories don't count. If
Oh,
someone,
absolutely.
right? So if someone can't come to your face and be like, Colleen, this and this and this, but they can run their mouth over here, it doesn't even count. It's not even a thing.
These are my new life mantras right here. These are my guidelines. For
Yeah, I
life.
know. We're gonna have so many quotes coming out of this. We're gonna be just having one quote after the
Expletive,
next.
expletive,
Yeah.
expletive. It's okay. Sorry for not having the clean version, but I truly believe that. If you don't like me and you want to tell me, that's fine. If you want to say it behind my back, it doesn't even fucking matter. Because if someone really values you or really feels hurt by what you may have said, done, whatever, they will come to you and have that difficult conversation. And they're obviously hard conversations to have, but if you don't like me, I don't fucking care. If you come to me and say this is why, then I'm either going to be like, okay, wait a minute, that wasn't my intent, or okay, yeah, I fucked up.
Yeah, because sometimes it could be a learning. You can learn
Absolutely.
and grow from.
And
some
I
of these
think
things. Yeah.
that everybody should just always try to learn and grow. But at the end of the day, other people's opinions of you are based on their own traumas and their own perceptions, their own wins, their own losses. And at the end, it's really not about us.
Yeah, I think none of these things we should allow to
No.
hold us back.
I tell my husband, I'm like, well, who cares? Like, who cares if we're not invited? I don't give a fuck. I don't want to go anyway. Like, if I was important enough to that person, they would have included us. If not, why the fuck do I want to go? That's 2 hours of my time that I can be putting into our family or something for my business that generates revenue that gives our family. Like, and him, like, I love him. So if you're listening, I love you, but he has severe FOMO. Like, if he's not included, he's like, well, why? And how come? And I'm like, who the fuck cares? I don't want to go anyway. Fuck them people.
Yeah, I like it when I get left out of things.
Yeah.
You do, don't you?
Yes, I
do.
Yeah.
fucking love it.
When's
Yeah.
your birthday?
January 22nd.
Okay.
from
I thought you,
Aquarius.
Aquarius. He's an Aquarius. My husband.
I don't have FOMO.
I don't have FOMO at all.
I have FOMO sometimes, quite
No,
often.
I
yeah.
actually, I don't want to have to make the choice to go somewhere.
Yeah, so just don't. No, and so
So I have FOMO, but I bail.
Yeah, I don't want to bail because then
It's
I feel
awful.
guilty at myself for
No, I don't.
bailing. So I'd
It's
rather not
awful.
have the option.
no.
Serving up hot brews, refreshing cold drinks, lots of fresh baked goodies, and delicious lunch options. Visit the Mellow Mug in the heart of Larry Utech for dine-in, takeout, or drive-through service. Their spacious cafe offers a casual and inviting vibe that's perfect for everything from enjoying a good book, hanging with friends, or meeting a colleague. The Mellow Mug is your neighborhood spot for great coffee and delicious eats and sweets. Let's hand this over to
Oh, you want me to do it?
I-
Yeah,
oh,
every
what is it?
episode. It's our speed round. Our speed round is we'll ask 5 questions.
Okay.
Just try to answer them with one word if possible. Some of them are not.
Good luck to me.
I know.
What's your favorite hobby or pastime?
Watching my kids play sports
I knew you were going to say that.
To you, what is the best age to be?
right now.
What is your zodiac sign?
I am a Cancer. I 1,000,000% believe in that and human design and tarot and all the things.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Because I love my brother and I know he would laugh his ass off when he listens to this. I'm going to say anything Eminem.
What is your favorite animal?
I was always obsessed with dolphins when I was a kid. Do one more.
One more?
I don't know.
For good measure, you love
Yeah.
it.
I love this is my favorite part of this.
It is fun.
Well, no, not my favorite part because I loved all of it, but I love being totally put on the spot and not knowing.
If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 items would you want with you?
Chocolate, my phone, a blanket. Can I ask a question as we close it out to you guys?
Please do.
Yeah.
I'm just taking over the podcast.
Yeah.
Go for it.
What is one positive word you would use to describe yourself? Which is making it
Automatically-
totally
Well, I
uncomfortable.
would
aren't I?
automatically think maybe kind.
No, give me something better than that.
I know, but I'm thinking that's not good enough, right?
It's good enough, but to go deeper.
Go deeper than kind. I am forgiving.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not. I did a
Glad you're
whole.
going first. 'Cause
I did a whole. Yeah, you get over there thinking about it. I did a whole course after my divorce on forgiveness. Get to the end of the course, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this.
I mean,
anymore.
yeah, no.
I can forgive an awful lot of stuff, but when it came right down to the end of it, I'm like, I'm out. That just cost me a couple $1,000 because I can't do it. I'm good at communicating.
Okay.
I think I'm good at
So
communicating.
technically, we just picked up 3 positive things. You're kind, which means you're also genuine and sincere. And then we added in communication.
Yeah.
But boom, there's 4.
There's 4.
All right, no pressure.
I think I can be motivating for people. I think I'm supportive. I think I'm funny.
Oh my God, you're funny.
Those are my 3, I guess.
And you,
I mean, I was only supposed to do 1, I guess, but then I had
But-
to match you.
right. And we're all inspiring to someone.
Well, you've inspired me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
What
for
a
having
treat.
me.
This was
Oh,
This was a
amazing.
treat.
Jack.
Thanks for letting me hijack your Sunday night.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad that our second person, not that I was glad she canceled, but I'm really glad that it allowed us to have a longer,
Yes,
chat.
100%.
you know,
Okay.
so.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it
Thank you.
tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness, what did you think of Jen?
I think she is incredible. Like we said before, I could listen to her speak for hours and hours and hours. I mean, we did. That conversation that we had, that those episodes came out of, was 3 hours long. And
Yeah.
it felt like it went by in 5 minutes.
I know. And it's interesting because I loved talking to her. I found at times I was just sitting there staring at her,
Mm.
listening. And there were a few times I got teary.
Yeah.
Um,
She had a lot, like when I was editing it back, I was like, oh yeah, another good nugget there. Good, such a good takeaway, such a good takeaway. Even to the point where I had to edit some of them out because there was just too many.
too many takeaways.
Mhm.
Like, honest to goodness. I feel like I want to, and I don't know, I bet other people that have listened to this episode will feel the same way, that I want to have a one-on-one with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you could, because
That's right.
yes, one of our prizes at our networking event
The imposter
the
roster.
imposter roster coming up on October 22nd. Make sure to get your tickets. Is going to be an hour-long chit chat and career counseling with Jen.
Which is amazing. Even if you're
Yeah.
not like actively job searching, speaking with her will reframe your entire thought on what you have to offer. Like highly, highly recommend.
That's what I found. I mean, I'm so far from, looking for a career change here, but just chit chatting with her just gave me insight into what I'm doing and some changes I can make. And anyway, and I still want to have a one-on-one with her. I wish I could win that prize.
You're not eligible.
I'm not eligible. But yeah,
But you could be.
yes, you could be. So get your ticket. You can win an hour with Jen by coming to the imposter roster.
And you'll get to see
Us.
all the other imposters, and listen to a live recording. So it's a win-win.
And it's at the Mellow Mug where it's catered and you can have wine.
Win, 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 win.
It's not just coffee.
So we'll see you there.
See you there.
See you next Tuesday.
Oh yeah, it's going to be next because now we're
We're going back to bi-weekly because like we said, stuff.
stuff. We're doing it because stuff.
Because we're busy.
And so are you.
That's right.
We don't want to take up too much of your sound waves.
So we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Imposter Sisters. Please remember, we're not doctors or mental health experts. If you're looking for mental health guidance, please see our show notes for local resources. We'd like to thank our location sponsor, the Mellow Mug, located at 64 Delridge Lane, for donating this amazing space for us to have these important chats and for supplying us with drinks and goodies. Please give them a follow and make sure to stop in to see this beautiful spot for yourself. Until next time, keep your head high and we will see you next Tuesday. Are you looking to up your social media game? Social media can be intimidating and overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. At Every Day I'm Branding, we truly believe that every day is an opportunity to showcase your brand through authentic and aligned social media strategy and content. Whether you're looking for done-for-you social management or monthly strategy sessions, the team at Every Day I'm Branding can help you reach your ideal audience in a way that feels aligned and drives conversion. If you'd like to have the Imposter Sisters come into your business and help you and your team get comfortable creating social media content, ask us about our new Keen to Screen program, a value-packed social media training for anyone that is looking to up their social media presence, either as a solopreneur or to empower their team to be impactful brand ambassadors.